evening.
Good evening.
I would like to thank the Mainline Martin Luther King Scholarships Association for inviting me to come speak today. When I was asked to come speak, I was a little confused because, as you see, I'm not some famous person. I'm not a doctor or a lawyer or some major leader in the community. I'm just a young person. I'm a young person facing new challenges, struggling to make it in this world that looks different each day. And then I realized that the young people being honored here today are about to experience the same situation. Recently, I stood in your shoes. Upper Marion graduate, Penn State bound, confused at how I became a college student seemingly overnight. I didn't know what to do. So I did what the wisest people in the world do. I was quiet and I listened. I listened for the little nuggets of knowledge that could help me at school. I listened for techniques and strategies that could not only help me academically, but also socially. Because you'll find out that your social stability and comfort is very important in your new environments. I also listened to the people that had recently just been through what I was about to encounter, or what I am encountering. Before I go into what I heard, let me ask a question. Who remembers being in class while the teacher was going over a lesson, and the teacher said, "This information may be useful on your test"? Show of hands. I have a question for you. Did you write that information down and study it? Because you see, it's the little things like that that's going to count. Anyway, I remember there were three things that I heard, three things that influenced my resolve to succeed after graduating from high school and in college. Perhaps this information could be useful in your experiences to come. The first piece of information that I heard was that there are three piles in college. Three. There's the A pile, the B pile, and that other pile. You'll find out soon that for some of you who are already in college, you've already found out that in college there is a lot of writing. There are many papers. And this is a good thing because we will discover that these opportunities to write will expand your mind and your outlook on this world. But you need to be proud of your work. Give each paper you write, project you finish, speech you give. Make sure it's the best that you can do because your work will be placed in one of these three piles. Now, the A pile, that's for the really great work. That shows the energy, time, and knowledge. Notice that order, energy, time, and knowledge. The B pile is for those students who probably had the knowledge, but did not put in that time, did not give all of their energy. Then there's that other pile. Let's just say, don't be in that pile. In college, you depend on your professors and advisors for a lot. Recommendations for jobs, internships, scholarships, work-study programs, study abroad programs, and many other opportunities. When your professor is considering you for a recommendation, what pile do you want to be in? Ask yourself, every time you have that assignment, every time you submit something, what pile do you want to be in? I'll never forget one class I had at Penn State. Dr. Errol Henderson, professor of African politics. I knew he was a hard teacher, very critical. We had a paper due every Friday. We had an outline due on Wednesday, final paper due on Friday. And the first week, of course, we had our paper due on that Friday. And I just knew I was going to stay. I knew I was going to beat the odds, even though he told us that we're going to fail. But on that Friday, I also knew that I had a conference to attend that weekend. So I had to get my paper in early. In my head, I'm thinking I'm going to get some suck-up points because I turned the paper in early. I went to his office Thursday, and I had my paper in hand, but I didn't have a stapler, so I just folded over the corner of the paper like so, and slid it under his door. I come in the next week, and I sit up front because I know I nailed it, I know I beat the odds. He got up, and he said, "Sorry, class, but everyone has failed." In my head, I'm like, I'm not proud, but how did I fail? At least get a C. And he said, I'll never forget it. He said, not only did everyone fail, but one dummy in here had the audacity to turn the paper on the corners of his paper. You can't afford a staple. And it's that type of laziness that will keep you down in this world. He gave me a 0. By far the most embarrassing moment in my college experience. I turned red as a strawberry because I knew he was looking right at me the whole time. But I learned something from that. Always have pride in your work. Start early. Take your time and pay attention to detail. And always have a statement. Another lesson I learned throughout my college experience was that you need to have a vision. Without vision, you are blind to your surroundings and your future. Know where you are going. This does not mean that you can't change. Of course you can change. But think about, write down, and commit to where you see yourself after graduating from college and beyond. From there, set goals that align to your vision. Sculpt these goals in a way that ensures that if you reach these goals, you will execute your vision. Have the courage of Harriet Tubman when setting your life's path. Have the mental fortitude of Frederick Douglass when achieving your goals, and have the divine resolve of Dr. King to pursue your vision at any cost. The last bit of information that I want to pass on is that there are no excuses. As you know, I'm a high school English teacher in Atlanta, Georgia, in a very low-income, under-resourced community where many of my students struggle to maintain hope in a desperate situation. I constantly tell them it is not where you come from that will determine your future, but how you adjust to the challenges that face you. I tell you, the world is a tough place. Injustice falls down the lives of many people. Pressure lurks behind every corner. But you must overcome all of this to ensure that your vision is executed. There are no excuses. There are no handouts. The world does not owe you anything. You must take what is yours and give back what is necessary. Give back what is necessary. We don't live in a world where our competition is sitting next to us. We don't live in a world where opportunity is a freely given right to you as you get older. No, our competition is now 3,000 miles away, 5,000, 10,000 miles away, all over this world. Opportunity is precious. You have a wonderful opportunity right now. You have everything you need to execute your vision, and I have every confidence in you that you will, because you are here. Be in that A pile, not just in your class, but in this world. Leave the excuses at the door and adjust and overcome to all the challenges that may face you. Be uncurved in the building of your life's blueprint. Be sure to plan well for effective execution. And I would like to close with a very short speech given by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It happens to be one of my favorites. I believe Dr. King sums up pretty much the keys to success. And he happened to give this speech at Barrett Junior High School down in Philadelphia in 1967. And it's called, "What is Your Life's Blueprint?" I'm sure many of you have heard of this. And it goes, I want to ask you a question. And that is, what is your life's blueprint? You see, whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint, which serves as the pattern, as the guide. And a building is not well erected without a good, solid, sound blueprint. Now, each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And Dr. King says, I want to suggest some of the things that you should begin in your life's blueprint, in building your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you're nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have as the basic principle the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days, as the years unfold, what you will do, what you will be in life, what your life's work will be. Set out to do it well. And I say to you, my young friends, doors are opening to you, doors of opportunity that were not open to your mothers and fathers. And the great challenge facing you is to be ready to face these doors as they open. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great essayist, said in a lecture in 1871, if a man can write a better book, or preach a better sermon, or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to his door. Now, that hasn't always been true, but it will become increasingly true. And so I would urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil. I would say to you, don't drop out of school. I understand all the sociological reasons, but I urge you that in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the situation that you're forced to live in, stay in school. And when you discover what you will be in life, set out to do it as if God Almighty calls you at this particular moment in history to do it. Don't just set out to do a good job. Set out to do such a good job that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures, sweep streets like Beethoven composed music, sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera, sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry, sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine at the top of the hill, then be a shrub in the valley, but be the best little shrub on the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, then just be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail, but it's by being the best at whatever you are. Thank you.